And maybe I should have listened to it because the chapters just was not doing it for me as I was reading. I'm like, I mean, what y'all do for fun besides? What y'all be doing? What y'all do for fun? What are depths in the conversation skills? Like, come on, buddy.
We don't talk about it. We get it.
Right.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Four Friends in a Book podcast. I'm Chris Colston here with my friends Isaiah Tukes, Kimberly Lake, and Laria Reed. And again, we are Four Friends in a Book. So if you're new to the channel, Four Friends in a Book is our monthly podcast series centered around a book we're reading together. And so we meet here to discuss that book, talk about current events, topics that may or may not relate to that book. And of course, at the end, we hit you guys with these rants. So for those that have been following us from day one, we thank you guys for continued support. Continue to like, share, comment. Look, tell a friend to tell a friend about Four Friends in a Book. But yeah, we just appreciate you guys for being with us on this journey. So, all right, let's get into it. We read books over here. The book for this month. I ain't gonna lie, I was a little skeptical. I was a little afraid. We in this in the book of May, no, the month of May. I'm sorry. In this like I'm all thrown off in this romance genre, and I was a little afraid of it. I ain't gonna lie. I was a little afraid, but the book for this month.
Afraid of love?
It's just
that's what you call it.
I leave that stuff to y'all women. Y'all get all into these romance novels. It's all this lovey-dovey, fluffy stuff. But honestly, I was pleasantly surprised. So it was a good book. The book for this month, the month of May, Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Man, I mean, this cover art is like, first of all,
nailed it.
Awesome. But yeah, when we in this romance novel kind of genre for this month, just so many topics covered in this book. I mean, Laria just mentioned it. Love. We're talking about death, marriage, friendship, mental health, depression, trauma, relationships, dating, like just so many different topics within this book, but it's centered around the two main characters, Yasmin and Josiah Wade. So kind of lovers that have kind of hit a rough patch and have gone through a divorce, but yet and still they have a business together. They run a restaurant. It's based out of Atlanta. They have two children, and now they're trying to figure out this post-marriage life, co-parenting, stepping into dating, still dealing with old traumas, still a desire or inkling of maybe wanting to be back together. So it's a lot of different things within this book. And like I said, I was actually surprised. The romance, really ain't my. I just can't really get jiggy with it, but it was interesting. It was interesting. So. Let's get into it. Let's unpack it. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Y'all know how we do it over here at Four Friends in the Book podcast. So you know what it is. What did you think about the book? And if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it? And since Miss Laria Reed talking about love over here, I'm going to come to you first and let you kick this review off Before I Let Go by Miss Kennedy Ryan. What did you think about this book?
I loved the book. It was so lovey-dovey and realistic all at the same time. I like the way Kennedy, the author, let's talk about how great she wrote this book. I was well, I did it on Audible, listen to it, but the way she described certain scenes and certain things that were happening, I literally had visuals in my head of what was happening. And most of the time, I don't do that with books, but with this one, she was so descriptive in like what the person had on, the setting, what it felt like when she walked in, and this and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So she did a great job with writing. I enjoyed the realistic fact of it because it's a lot of couples who go through that, go through death, having a business, trying to make it through the pandemic, trying to make it through different things. It's just, I enjoyed the book completely. I like the characters of the children and how she made them realistic. It just seemed like, and I keep using the word realistic, it just seemed like something that I could talk to somebody about, and I got a friend going through this now. You know what I'm saying? It just felt so real life. And I know we're going to talk about that, but I really want this to be a movie for real, for real. So yeah, it was good. Cause I am, by the way, a Hallmark Channel Lifetime person. I can do that all day. So this is right up my alley. I loved it.
All right. So what's your rating?
Oh, my rating. I give it like, I would give it like a 9. I enjoyed it. I haven't given anybody a 10, I don't think. Except for Malcolm X. He always gets a 10. That's Bay. Look, that's Bay.
Your little husband.
Yeah, look, if y'all hadn't heard, go check back. What was that, season 1?
Yes.
Yeah, Laria,
Episode 2.
Yeah, she really, she got a little thing for Malcolm. Yeah.
I do. My kind of guy.
All right. So coming to my good brother, Mr. Tukes over here, man. Look, I don't know if you feel like I felt, this romance thing, it really wasn't kind of my forte, but what did you think about this book, man? What did you, how did you feel about it? How did it make you feel? And if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would that be?
Oh gosh, I don't even want to answer this question. Well, honestly, this book had a lot of words, but not nearly enough words that I thought it was going to be about. It just seemed so wordy, and the story just went on, and I just knew my HBCU family, Josiah and Yasmin, was about to make these words come alive, was just about to boss up in this book. But I was just so disappointed. The book synopsis was just like made up, like the stuff wasn't relevant at all. Like Lareal said, Kennedy Ryan. Now I cannot negate the fact that she was very descriptive of how she painted the scene. She actually made you feel that you was in the scene. But for the chapter, it just was not like no relevance to me on my end. Like Chris said, like I was into romance, but I can follow a story alone. But it just dragged. It was like one chapter, one just dragged on through the book. But overall, it was just like a great read. She was a great descriptor of what she did, but I was just ready to put this book down and just leave it down. And it's something that I probably won't ever pick up again. But overall, I rate this book up 4.
Ooh.
What?
I said, he's ready to.
I think, so I think that might be the lowest rating we've had.
Oh,
ever.
We've got some books that were not as good as this one.
Okay, I understand, man. I understand. So
I tried. I promise I tried.
He's like, I tried.
Right. So we got a 9, we got a 4. Kimberly Lake, what did you think? Like, you following up after Isaiah on that one? I don't even know how you follow his yeah. But what did you think about this book, and what was your rating on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I'm gonna follow Laria. I'm gonna piggyback off of her. I thought the book was great. I too love love, so I love a good love story. And for me, what really sold the book, I listened to it on Audible. And the 2 voice actors that read the novel were really, really good. Like, they were like acting for real.
Mm-hmm.
I went to look them up, sidebar, and they don't show their faces, apparently. I guess since they narrate a lot of books, they don't want people to associate, I guess, their face with the character. So all their pictures are like not of their face or not at all. But anyway, I think the book was great. Like Maria said, I thought it was a realistic love story. I thought the characters and their personalities were realistic. Also, I thought just overall her writing made me feel like I was watching a movie. Like Maria said, like I could like see her in the closet with his shoes on, like everything, the dog, everything she was describing, like I just felt like I saw it. So I thought it was a great book. I would recommend it. I mean, if you look, it's a romance, so it's steamy. So if you a little, if you on sex scenes and all this stuff, there were plenty in the book.
Plenty.
So if you like, this might not,
plenty.
This might not be for you, but he said plenty. It was. But overall, I thought it was a great book, and I would rate it. I always got to put points on stuff, so I would say 8.5.
Okay. So we got a 9, a 4, and an 8.5.
I'm ready to hear your Chris. Break it home.
So, as I opened the show up and said earlier, I wasn't really looking forward to reading a romance novel. Look, as we talked about many times before, your boy love history. I love autobiographies. I love just kind of the realism of expression in the book format. But honestly, I was pleasantly surprised by this book. I think the difference might have been I too listen on Audible.
Okay.
And like Kim mentioned, the narrators on there, man, like they really brought the characters to life. I mean, the voices, like just the tones they were using, just the characters. It really, like Laria mentioned, like I really visualized this book, and so maybe that might have been the difference because I listened on Audible as well. And it was good, man. I was pleasantly surprised. It was relatable. I think a lot of the topics in the conversations or things that were going on in the book are things that we can all relate to or personally or know someone that may have gone through those things. So like Kim mentioned, it's a romance novel. So you got the love making, the sex scenes and all that stuff. It wasn't really my thing, but it was well written. It wasn't too over the top. I understand why y'all women love these romance novels. The words getting very descriptive. Y'all, right. Yeah, but I did. I enjoyed the book. It was good. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give it an 8. It was good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, the characters really had me drawn in. Josiah and Yasmin, Deja and Kasim, even the dog Otis, he was showing up in the book. So I really loved it. Look, the character Hendrix was wild. So good book, good character development, good expression. And like I said, definitely, if you guys haven't read it and want to kind of hear a good, I guess, expression of it, the Audible version is like awesome. So check that out also. So yeah, I give it an 8. So we got a 9, a 4, an 8.5, and an 8. So we got that one little outlier here. He was yeah. I understand though, man.
And maybe I should have listened to it because the chapters just was not doing it for me as I was reading. I'm like, I mean, what y'all do for fun besides what y'all be doing? What y'all do for fun? What are depths in the conversation skills? Like, come on, buddy.
We don't talk about it. We get it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's that romance part where you gotta have that strong presence of love within the book. So okay. All right, so I kind of touched on this a little bit. So we got these two main characters, Yasmin and Josiah. So again, were once married, have 2 children. Deja and Kasim, they own a restaurant, Grits, in Atlanta. And so now they are trying to co-own this business and also co-parent. Because they've kind of gone through some very traumatic events in life that has really driven a wedge between them and resulted in them getting a divorce. So, yeah, what did you guys think about that? Just even hearing that story unfold, even get into the root cause of why they divorced. And also, were you kind of even rooting for them to get back together? Did you want them to move on? Like, what was your take as you were reading or listening to this book as it unfolded about their relationship and what was going on in that process? And I'm gonna come to Mr. 4 Point over here.
Well, for me, honestly, I think they should move on. You know, from reading the story, they have a lot. They really do love each other, but they just have a lot of hurt, you know, from the things that have happened to them. And I think the reconciliation is like an atomic bomb waiting to happen. You know, that when you've been deeply hurt by someone, and then the first argument, they're ready to throw blows and ready to throw jab. You did this, Henry. We lost Henry because of this. You wasn't here, and I had and I lost the baby, and I can see that going. And sometimes, you know, when you've been hurt like that, and it's like picking up broken glass. You're only going to get cut trying to fix that situation. And I see that in the long run for them as well. So I think they should just best as being friends and just trying to co-parent their kids and just go to therapy and hear from them. But as far as like reconciling, I think that is an atomic bomb waiting to happen. I just see them more as being friends than what they're moving to with the relationship.
Okay.
That was a good.
Like, but you just
the broken glass there. I mean, he said, just move on.
All right, like I'm gonna come to Kim on this one. Look, do you have a follow-up, even a follow-on, or do you feel the same way about how their situationship, relationship, divorce, reconciliation, like, what were your thoughts about that? Were you rooting for them? Like, how'd you feel about Yasmin and Josiah?
Well, I was rooting for them because one, I think they had a unique circumstance. And look, when I think about divorced couples get back together, I always think about Laria's father, because he talks about like how divorced people don't need to get back together because, you know, it's going to happen again. And two couples I know of, he said that. It happened again. So I think I kind of go with that. But with them, I think their divorce was because of like some traumatic issues. So I kind of gave them a pass on that. And I think it was like she was going through depression, which she had to get like medication for, and he wasn't dealing with it. So I think them going through therapy, which I champion, and this book is champions going to therapy. So if you haven't gone this year, go. I think because of the work they did individually on themselves, I think, and the way and the reason why they got divorced, I was rooting for them to get back together because I think it wouldn't have happened if they were in a healthier state individually. So I was for their love story. Now, early on, I was like, y'all just communicate. Like, this could have been like cut in half, but they weren't communicating with each other, so it kind of like dragged out. But eventually they did end up together, and I was for it. So I was for their love story.
Okay. Yeah. So again, by being a romance novel, I wasn't really rooting for them to get back together. I just figured it was gonna happen anyway. Like I came into this preconceived notion that they separated, they doing their little thing, but in the end they gonna get back together. But can you bring up the good points? I think the demise of their marriage was centered around some traumatic events and even some unspoken words, some unhealed feelings and thoughts and lingering effects from, even childhood trauma for Josiah. So I definitely understand how that could have drawn a wedge, especially as Isaiah mentioned, them, losing a child as well. So we giving a little few spoilers if y'all hadn't read the book, but it is what it is. But I can understand just even pairing that to reality. Because you see that today. You see people or couples that go through traumatic events. They may lose a child or a loved one, and how that event can have a ripple effect on other, relationships around them. And so I definitely saw that, and the realism of that. Was I kind of rooting for them? Like I said, I just assumed they would get back together, but I did like how Kennedy Ryan kind of laid the book out, really highlighting the importance of mental health awareness, therapy, counseling. Even Josiah at one point, he was very much so against it until he realized his son was having issues and that his son needed therapy as well. And so as a initiative for his son to kind of get into it, he was like, all right, I'll do it as well. And he ended up being a very strong proponent for therapy. And in the end, the whole family was doing it. So like I said, I wasn't necessarily rooting for them, but I just figured it was going to happen because it was a romance novel. So that's just how they go. But yeah.
I have a question. And y'all may not have to answer it or not. But when you ask your spouse for a divorce, and I don't gave you my all, and I don't gave you my heart in this situation, I'm trying to make this work. How I'm going back to this? How can I go back to this and that hurt is not going away? You may put a Band-Aid on it or put a little alcohol on it, but it's not going away. Every time I look at you, you ask me for a divorce. And I moved out of my home with my family. But now you want me back. You gotta think about it. That's the broken hurt that I'm talking about. That's picking up broken glass. That's some unwarranted territory that I don't want to go into.
But see, what he was hesitant about it. That's why he wanted to get together earlier, but he was like, nah, because she's the one that wanted a divorce and all that stuff. So you have a valid point, but I think love just went out in the end.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Nah, bro, you bring up a good point. I think even
that's a very good point.
She kind of captured that in the book because Josiah was concerned and he expressed that like you left me in a time where I really needed you. And she basically said like she didn't love him, like she didn't want him. And so I can understand the male ego and our pride, especially him being, the man, a husband, a father, a provider, and to receive that from the person that he was in love with and felt like they was gonna be in it till the wheels fell off, I can definitely understand it. And I think, men probably deal with that now. Like I said, I think our egos can sometimes get bruised very easily. And especially when you are putting forth what you feel to be your all. And so yeah, man, I understand wholeheartedly that expression. And like I said, I think that was kind of captured in the book as well. So
yeah.
All right, Maria, coming to you. How did you feel about Josiah?
Ain't nothing more for me to say, really. Between Kim and Isaiah, I feel like I understand what both of them are saying. Like Kim said about my father, he got that from my grandfather, who was also a pastor. He was always like, never, if you get divorced, don't go back. If you break up with somebody, don't be going back. He was like, there's no point. You're only going to set yourself up to have to go through that again, because we had these rekindle moments and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time with them, I felt like they should have never gotten a divorce from the beginning, because it didn't seem like, I'm thinking about, when I think about divorce, like infidelity, like things that are just going to, you got a sex addiction or you're gambling, like we can't pay our bills. But they had more emotional hurt. And I'm not saying that that's bad, not as bad, but what I am saying is I don't think they had the necessary tools in communication with how to talk to each other. But they knew how to talk to each other about business. So it was kind of like, you're developed in this area. So I'm like, okay, really, it just sounds like you all need some really good one-on-one counseling and go on in there, get yourselves together or whatnot. But I felt like that wasn't a good thing to do, to go and ask for a divorce, especially when you're going through. But I guess for some people, and I've never been married, when you're in it and you're trying your best or you're doing as much as you can do and you don't feel like you're getting reciprocation, you just feel like, I just want to get out of it. But like Isaiah said, when you go and ask for a divorce, or you go and tell somebody you don't want to be with them, you don't want them no more. Oh, okay. You got to deal with with the repercussions and consequences. Because if somebody tells you that, that just is a knocking, a blow, and a crushing. I don't care how many kids you got together and what you built together. So, I think that was a lesson. From what I got from it was making sure that you communicate properly. And if you start having barriers up, to get somebody to mediate, go to a counselor or a pastor, somebody that can assist you with what you're trying to say and find out why you're fighting. Because most of the time it ain't you're not fighting about what you're fighting about. It's about something deeper. So, but anyway, that's my 2 cents on the whole thing.
Nah, that's good. That's good. I think it's kind of the epitome of you hear like crazy in love. I think sometimes love does make you do some crazy stuff that's not really rational. And so, yeah, you can't always make sense of it. So,
yeah.
All right. So we kind of talked about it a little bit, especially the audible version of this book. Like, it really just makes the pages come to life. I was really visualizing it. But recently announced was the fact that Before I Let Go Again by Kennedy Ryan is going to be showing up on the screen. Peacock has obtained the rights to actually develop this book into, I'm not sure if it's going to be a series or just a movie or what it's going to be or whatever, but they are bringing it to film. So interesting to hear that, and congratulations, to Kennedy Ryan as well for that happening. But so putting you guys in the hot seat a little bit, if you was the casting director, who would you cast in these roles for? So of course Josiah and Yasmin, but I'm gonna throw a curveball in there too, because Hendrix was a wild card. She was a firecracker. I really liked her character. So. Who would y'all cast in some of these roles? How do y'all feel about them? And I'm Miss Kimberly Lake. I'm gonna kick it off with you.
Okay, I had to think about this because I was like, wait, what? Their ages, I was trying to, Anyway, so for Yasmin, I actually thought about Janelle Monáe. She's a really good actor, and I think you have to have for these characters, they have to have a sex appeal about them. So I was like, I think she would.
Oh yeah, she got that.
She would be a good Yasmin. I can see her throw it out the cover kind of thing, and then Josiah, he has to be fine. So I was like, I was going through because I was like, they're just trying to describe him as tall and handsome and all that stuff. So I actually think an actor, his name is Trevante Rhodes, who I think is fine as well. I think he would be a good counter to her. I think they would look good together. So Google them, look them up, and let me know in the comments if you agree.
Gotcha.
So, there you go.
Yeah, so of course I know Janelle. Who is that? Trevante? What is he? Is he in anything?
I know he was in what's her name? See, my brain.
All right, it's fine.
Look, I'll put it on the screen.
All right. Larry, you got any thoughts, comments on character development if you was casting for this?
That's funny. The only person I thought about for Yasmin's role was Tiana Paris. I thought she would be good for that because she's that age that I would think. She's got the sex of it, she's a beautiful girl. She's a great actress. I think she could do well with that. But I couldn't think of a guy because I don't know. I couldn't think of who I would want as a man in that role. Because all the guys I kept thinking about that were were too old.
Morris
to do-
Chestnut.
Morris Chestnut, Lamont Rucker.
Yeah, them OGs. They
Oh,
done.
they
Yeah.
OGs. Now look, that's my generation.
She about to get started. She about to get
Yeah, look,
started.
Malcolm can't show up in these roles. You know?
Right, but I couldn't think of anybody else. But I think Tiana would do a great job with that. I think she would be really good for that role.
Cool. Isaiah, do you have any input on this, man? Any like I know you didn't really, yeah, you didn't really get into this one, man. But if you thinking about bringing it to light on the big screen or even small screen, do you have any particular characters you would want to be portrayed by a certain actor?
And when I was actually thinking about, who can portray both of these, in their prime, I was thinking about Jasmine Guy and Kadeem Hardison. Nobody can play this role like Whitley Gilbert and Dwayne Wade. I was thinking
he went to different world.
They was talking about the different world in the book anyway, and I was thinking about I could see Yasmin up there trying to get married, and here go Josiah, played by Dwayne Wade, going up there trying to get his woman back from the altar. So I think they can bring those are the only two in my mind that can bring these two characters to life because they went through the storm on that TV show, and I can see them going through the storm again for this movie of bringing those two characters. So that's the only two I could think of: Jasmine Guy and Kadeem.
They did have
Kadeem.
They did have a very good connection. They were good.
That's good. That's good. All right, look, one final question, kind of wild card here. Favorite moment of the book before we transition to our next. I don't really know. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I can't really think about anyone I would want to see playing it. Look, whoever did this Audible version, they can definitely
be the
speak
ones
it.
to do it.
Yeah, they can definitely speak it. I don't think they can act well. Yeah, I don't think they can act very well, but they definitely sound the part. But yeah. But yeah, favorite moment of the book, favorite something, just real quick if you had one you want to throw out there. Like, so for me, I thought it was interesting.
You know what I rated it.
I thought it was interesting, how you had so Yasmin's mom, doing Thanksgiving dinner, she being a mama. Gary, you want him. Like, he wants you too. And like she's just really playing matchmaker on the low while they're preparing Thanksgiving dinner, like even sending him up to the room, like while she getting dressed. Like Mama was still trying to make it happen. She wanted them, look, she wasn't about y'all divorce rules. She was like, hey, yeah, I still got a future together, make it happen. I thought that was good and funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, just anytime she was with her friends, I thought that was a good conversation they would have. It was entertaining. I'm a girl's girl, so I love women empowerment, women friends, and all that kind of stuff. So anytime she was with them, I thought it was just like a fun listening part of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, so look, 4 friends.
Switching gears.
Yeah, we gotta switch gears. I was like, yeah, they was like, I got that on it.
Yeah, no favorite part.
But all right, so look, so 4 friends in the book, we not only read books over here, but we also have discussions about current events, current topics that are going on within our community, within this country, within this world. So one of the things that's really kind of a hot topic right now, and it's really just a big discussion. I mean, like the state of Florida, like they got a lot going on down there. And so even Ron DeSantis, I mean, he even into it with Disney World. Like there's just a lot going on in the state of Florida. But the latest movement is how they are really signing legislation that kind of get rid of some of the diversity, inclusion, equity programs that are kind of in place right now. And so there are movements to put legislation into law that will stop or limit how diversity, equity, inclusion is being addressed in our school systems, in classrooms, universities. Some of these programs that have historically been funded. They're looking at taking or removing funding from those things. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on in Florida. We've kind of touched on it in previous episodes. Just wanted to get you guys' thoughts and opinion, since this is kind of a hot topic right now, or a very relevant topic right now of things that are going on. So, I'm coming on, brother Isaiah, man. How do you feel about this, man? Like, what are your thoughts about what the governor's doing there and just what's going on in general with politics and legislation right now? I mean, we talked about it before. Even the fact of banning books is still just very prevalent, and it seems to be all centered around race. Yes, what are your thoughts about what's going on right now, especially in Florida?
Well, nothing shocks me about what Ron DeSantis is doing down there in Florida. He already thinks Black history lacks educational value. He's trying to keep, like you say, out abandoning the books of what Black authors have actually put into place. And this whole GOP politics, their entire political thought can be boiled down to the fact that they hate marginalized people. They don't want to see our society afford be equal rights or personhood. So they try to actually do their best to keep us dumb, misinformed, and complicit. We do ourselves actually a disservice when we actually play into their reframing of bigotry. People want rights and they want to be respected, and the GOP oppresses anything that comes against them. And Ron DeSantis, like, his only goal is trying to run for president. So he's just trying to actually federalize anything that actually gets him over to their presidential candidate. But the GOP, to me, is turning this whole destruction of the public school system into the next long-term reproductive rights. And they want to ensure that they have many babies as possible and just to grow up to be as stupid as possible. And that's all it is to it.
Look, I thought my boy was going into a little.
He
we ain't quite made to the rant.
I tried to tell it that. Like, and what shocks me is the people that continue to keep voting for him. Like, this guy is just doing it and saying anything, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Maria, what are your thoughts on this topic of just, the governor in Florida, some of this, political movements and legislation that's kind of pending at this current time? What are your thoughts and feelings about that?
It's almost unbelievable to me to be in 2023 and to be banning books and all these different kinds of things that are their history and their facts. We're not talking about things that we just made up, fiction books, and you can debate on certain lifestyle choices or whatever you want to do. Okay, that's fine. But when you take away Black history, authors, people who've been in libraries for years upon years, it's really disheartening, and it's very disappointing, because in my mind, the America that I really thought we were progressing to was more open-minded and understood culture and diversity. And I feel like for a state with so many different immigrants, so many different people coming in from different places, that'd be the last place that you would see that happen, in my opinion, of what I think about when I think of Florida. But it's actually the opposite, and it's really sad. And I just really don't have any words for it. You turn on the news or read articles and you're like, is this for real? Is this like, really? Are we really doing this right now? Is this really happening? I would think this would be happening during my grandparents' time, not during mine. So, yeah, I'm just very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think you guys, and we've kind of hit on it in previous shows before, I'm not sure what's behind this movement, but there seems to be a strong movement to really change the narrative about the history of this country, or some of the misconceptions or misinformation about our history, trying to whitewash or erase certain aspects of culture, of history, of diversity. And I really don't understand what the motivation behind it is. For a country where I feel like we have progressed in certain aspects, it seems like and to Laria's point, like we regressed in so many ways where the conversation we're having now, I mean, we're debating about books and Rosa Parks and civil rights and just the history of this country and an effort to really remove it. And I just don't understand how these things have now become so politicized and so many people are rallying behind this stuff as well. You know, we've had discussions about critical race theories and how people, you know, got into an uproar behind that, and really not even understanding what it is. People are just upset and don't even know why they're upset. And so now I feel like this is the latest movement. You know, we're supposed to be a nation of, you know, just a melting pot. You know, and that's kind of been the foundation of what this country is supposed to be. But now there just seems to be so many initiatives and efforts to try to change that narrative. And it's crazy that we are still in this state where things are being removed and things that have historically been needed to further our advancement, not only as a, you know, individual, but collectively as a country, are now being just, you know, turned over and turned upside down. So it's really, it's crazy. It's scary to think that, you know, these things are happening now and like what could be, you know, what precedents could be set by some of these things that are being overturned or enacted now. So it's crazy. Like we've said many times before on this show, I mean, we try not to get too political, but, you know, we have to be aware of what's going on within our country, within our states, even within our local you know, communities, and really be involved because we're letting people get into these positions and they are doing things that I don't think the masses agree with. And that's the sad part. And we're not holding them accountable, in my opinion. And so I think we have to be really kind of aware and conscious of how these votes really matter on a local level. Like I know we get in the big uproar about presidential elections, but look, y'all got to show up for these local elections, for these mayors, you know, these councilmen, these governors. Like that's where stuff really matters as well. So it's just crazy. And like to Laria's point, it's just sad that we're in this state. So, all right, Kim, coming to you next. What are your thoughts and feelings about what Governor Ron DeSantis is doing right now and just kind of the state of just, you know, politics, legislation, things, governance right now? What are your thoughts and feelings about that?
Well, I agree with you all. I do agree with how it's crazy to me how politicized like the history of our nation has become. Like if I have to hear this 4-letter word woke used how it's used politically anymore, it like drives me crazy. Like anything historical, race, black, anything like that is woke. So, you know, they call this the anti-woke legislation. But I just think, as Laria said, this is just facts and it's the history of our country. I mean, I don't know what you would gain from trying to change it, but it just is what it is. And I think for me, I think a lot of it stems from maybe a fear. Because like, again, if you acknowledge something, once you acknowledge it, you kind of have to, you know, make changes to it or about it. So if you acknowledge how our country came about and all the systems that were put in place to keep certain groups oppressed and all that, then, you know, you can't stay, what's the word? Inactive. Like you have to do something. So I think a lot of it comes down to just fear. So I think politicians are using that fear and stoking that fear just to get reelected. You know, I look at some of the things they do and say, and I'm like, I feel like they go home and like 3/4 of the stuff they say and do, they don't even just be thinking or believing, but it's just all about, you know, power and reelection. And fear is a powerful thing to use to get reelected. So I just think, I never say this word, but I said it's like preposterous. This whole thing, it's preposterous.
It is.
That's how I feel about it.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, you know, because I always want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions about, you know, like I said, again, things that are going on within this country, within this world just we're living in. I mean, it still seems like we're in a movie sometimes. Just the amount of stuff that goes on that you would have thought we've kind of grown past it. So yeah, good insight, good feedback from you guys. So yeah. So yeah, Four Friends in a Book podcast. Like we talk about everything over here. We read books, we talking about politics, governance, all this good stuff. So just wrapped up the book for this month, the month of May. If you guys haven't picked it up, Before I Let Go by Miss Candy Ryan. Look, well received minus one of us. So
one of us didn't like it.
Yeah, one of us was
audible.
Yeah, look, maybe when it hit the big screen, you may be, more inclined to really read it. But yeah, go pick up this book Before I Let Go by Candy Ryan. Like I said, nothing else, man. The Audible version was like amazing, so I really enjoyed that. Had discussion about just what's going on in the state of Florida right now with Governor Ron DeSantis. I think he just recently announced his candidacy for president. So I think that's probably going to be the next act to come in place or whatever. I think a lot of these movements that were being done in that state were kind of a primer for him stepping into this next chapter of his presidential candidacy as well. So, you got to incite the people and all this stuff. But I just think it's a lot of fluff, and we got to stop really falling into it. But all right, y'all know what time it is. Our favorite segment of the show. It won't be a show without it. We call it the rant. So 60 seconds uninterrupted from none other than Mr. Rant Man himself. Look, man, this boy, he had a mini rant today. He was about to go in.
I scaled it back.
He pulled it back. He was getting there. Look, whenever I see that little vein come out his head, I know he about to get it. So he was about to get into it, but he pulled it back. So we never know what we're getting from him. But we never debated. We never contested. It's just him speaking from his heart every episode. He kill him every episode. So, brother, the floor is yours. Starting now. Go.
Earlier this month, Daniel Penny choked Jordan Neely to death on a New York City subway train. Yet it's Jordan Neely being criminalized. It's interesting when a white man kills a black man, and then it begins a national debate about the crime that never centers on the white man and the crime he actually committed. Daniel Penny choked Neely from the back for 15 minutes until he passed away. He made sure that the innocent life left Mr. Neely. Then Daniel Penny spoke to the police and then went home. Finally, after the outrage against this injustice, Daniel Penny, the former U.S. Marine, will be charged with manslaughter. There has been a lot of debate about the DA's charge because we live in a world where some people see a video of a white man choking a black man to death and argue that no crime has been committed. Others, including Neely's own family, believe that the charge is too lenient. Jordan Neely wasn't any physical threat to anyone on the train. People may have felt uncomfortable, but that's every day if you ride the New York City subway. He didn't warrant losing his life. This is privilege when someone can choke a person to death and then go home as if nothing happened. That's something that Jordan Neely didn't have, a home. That's why he was on the subway. A cry for help because he was hungry, looking for food and water, because the people that heard his desperate plea had a front row center to his murder. We know that protests won't stop chokeholds or police brutality or hate or racism. What we're protesting is that allowed to go home as if nothing happened part. And that's that on that.
That's good, bro. That's good. It just... It's like we've come so desensitized to death, and it's such a common thing that even, like I said, being on the subway, being in the mall, being in the library, being in the school, like your life just be so easily taken. It's just, it's sad, man. And then, I don't know, man. But yeah, good rant, brother. Like I said, as always, for keeping us informed and educated about what's going on within this country, within this nation, within this world. So we thank you and appreciate you for that. All right. So just wrapped up the book. Before I let go, Miss Kennedy and Ryan had our little discussion amongst friends about just governance and things that are going on. And my brother just killed this rant. So look, we read books over here, and we want you guys to read and join in with us each month. So Isaiah, tell them about the book we have coming up for next month.
Hey guys, before we let you go, the next book we're going to read is going to be Marriage Be Hard by Kevin and Melissa Fredericks. We can't wait for you to actually hear our thoughts. L'Oreal, please tell the viewers when they can tune in.
You can tune in every third Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube or wherever. We're everywhere. Just look up for Friends in a Book, okay?
Everywhere. And if you're not following us on social media, make sure you do that.
Please.
So like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. And we would love for you to become a part of our family to keep up to date on what we are doing.
Yes, most definitely, guys. We appreciate you guys for continuing to support us, to share comments, reviews, all that good stuff. Look, still, we're always looking for book recommendations, so hit us up for any books or topics you want to hear from us. And as always, let's continue to read, let's learn, let's grow, let's have a discussion right here on Four Friends in a Book. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.